Clarion Connection with Ron Wilshire. Good morning, Ron.
Morning, Steve. You brought the snow?
I certainly did, because I thought, I know how much you love snow and, how much you missed having such a mild winter this year.
That's right. I think they misnamed it global warming. It's climate change, and I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. But you informed me that every year when first day of trout season that it snows. So
yeah, so I think it might just be a little bit off. I know it's coming up this weekend. So
great. Well, welcome to Clarion Connection. I'm Ron Wilshire. My guest today is Ron Nowaczyk, the Provost and Chief Academic Officer at Clarion University. I thought we'd start this out, Ron, with what is a provost and what's the provost's role at Clarion?
Well, thanks, Ron, for having me on. The provost is an interesting title. It goes back to the Middle Ages from the universities and things, but I guess the way to look at it is I'm really the academic vice president for the institution. Most schools have, small schools have what's called a dean of students or dean of academics, and that individual is responsible for all of the academic programs, overseeing the academic programs that are at the university. At larger institutions, the academic programs are broken into colleges, and so you may have a business college, you have an education college, arts and sciences. Well, overseeing all of that would be the chief academic officer, the academic vice president or provost. And so that's my role, is basically to look at university academic policy, help with the development of programs, look for cooperation across academic programs, and things like that.
Is fundraising an aspect of the position?
Actually, fundraising is a part for everybody at the university these days, whether it's a public or a private institution. And in fact, at many of the public institutions, we're seeing renewed interest in connecting with the alums and with friends of the university. And what we're finding is people, have a lot, especially undergraduates, when a person graduates from a school with an undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree, there's a certain affinity for the school, and people want to feel connected to the university, want to give back. And it's interesting, what you find is alums are oftentimes very connected when they first leave, and then they go through a period of time where you don't see it, and then they come back as they get older and want to see their friends, want to see the institution, sometimes see the professors that they had and so forth. So yes, fundraising is part of that. And I would say, as much as it is fundraising, it's more just connecting with the alums and connecting with the friends of the university to keep them up on what's happening at the university.
Well, you come to Clarion in an interesting time with the arrival of Dr. Whitney as president. One of her first priorities was planning, and the whole planning process that, love it or hate it, that academic institutions go through from time to time. And I believe Clarion's been taking a role at its mission in the region and to its students.
Yes, yeah, you're exactly right, Ron. And what we're doing is, Clarion is a regional university, so we know that our main service area is, in fact, the immediate region here. So we attract about 60 to 70% of our students come from within 100 miles of Clarion. And in doing that, the regional universities really provide a particular role, which is to serve not only the clients that are here, but address the students that are near, but also try to address needs in the region itself. Whereas many times, like a Penn State, what we call the flagship universities, try to address everything across the state or national. The regional universities do want to have a national impact, as we want our graduates to be recognized nationally when they go out for jobs or start their careers. But we also know that we have a special expectation and requirement, but a special expectation to be partners in the community itself and to help with the region itself.
How do you see Clarion as being a partner in the community? What types of programs should it offer? What types of economic development activities should it be involved with?
Well, it's interesting that just being in the region makes a difference. In terms of economic development, there's an interesting article at the United States Department of Agriculture had done a while back, where they looked at what rural counties are thriving, and what they found is that in the top 5% of rural counties in the country, the ones that are thriving all have one thing in common: they all have a university or a college located in the county. So one thing I will tell you is that we become an economic driver just by the fact that we exist. It changes the nature of the town. It brings people into the area. If you think of sporting events, if you think of artistic events, theater, there's a reason for people to come to the university. to be part of the university. The students there obviously make a difference. So one part of the economic development is just being there and contributing to the economic well-being of the region, especially the local town you might be in or the county you might be in. But more importantly, there is a push, and everybody's recognizing it, that we're becoming more of a service country, service industry, but also advanced manufacturing. People that, with the jobs that are needed out there, require more education. And if we can provide those kinds of educational opportunities to individuals, you can become very attractive to people, to companies who want to locate. You'll find companies that'll say, we want employees, we want more training. Many times they turn to community colleges. If there's not a community college, oftentimes look to the university. And so those roles are things that become very important. So we need to be attuned to what we hear from the local in a very quick and nimble fashion, because as you know, businesses are looking for things immediately. They're not waiting for long periods of time. So universities are doing more of that than they've ever done before.
Venango campus has developed a reputation for providing that kind of service to industries. While some of their employees may need additional education, they might not necessarily need a 4-year undergraduate degree. So they seem to have developed a niche for those types of programs. Any chance that Clarion campus would also offer those types of things?
Yes, in fact, we are looking at that. You're right. You're exactly right, Ron, that the Venango campus has really developed a number of completion programs that are unique to the region. We're looking at, too, and Dr. Whitney and I have been talking about the concept that we call a career ladder. That's becoming much more popular across the country, where people go in and out of institutions for things they need. So certificates become much more interesting for individuals. They say, you're right, I don't need a degree, I just need 3 courses, or I need a specialized course. Some of it used to be what we call continuing education. We talk about workforce development, but in many cases now it's getting more sophisticated in terms of the skills people need. So yes, you will be seeing more of that happening on the main campus. What you're also going to be seeing is more online courses. It's interesting that people want to do what we call hybrid or blended courses. The old model of going to school at night and going for 3 hours, 2 nights a week or whatever is changing to where people want to come on campus maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks and do the rest of the work online. So those are becoming much more popular too. We're having to address that because, and again, we're finding this in a lot of cases, graduate school. The traditional graduate school of going somewhere for 2 years, people are saying, no, I want to be able to take this degree while I'm still working. So those are some of the things you're going to see more of, not only at Clarion, but I think across the country in terms of schools.
How has the enrollment been for Clarion's virtual campus?
It's been expanding. The virtual campus, we're finding more and more students wanting to take the online programs. In fact, we've been approached by some national organizations who are interested in offering programs we offer here, helping market some of the programs we offer here. The unique thing about Pennsylvania, which I will give as a state, is they have priced the tuition for online courses for out-of-state students so that it's very competitive. They recognize the fact that many of your online students may not be coming from the state or the region. It's the opportunity to really attract people from a broader region. Our Masters in Nursing, our Masters in Library Science, our MBA programs are very popular, and so there's nothing sacred about a state border when you're talking about being online. And if you can compete, and the name of the school, many people like state universities. They like having a degree from a state university than rather from some of the for-profit institutions that are out there. So if we can be competitive price-wise, we're going to be attracting more students, and we're already seeing that with students. Not only our campus students want to take a class or two online, but more students are just saying, I can't travel to Clarion on a regular basis. Again, thinking of the cost of gas, they would rather be able to do it from home.
Right. At one time, I believe Clarion's online enrollment was something like 20% of the total enrollment.
I would think that's in terms of number of classes, and I think it's about 15 and 20%, but we have some programs that are entirely online,
right.
And we're seeing more of those. What we're trying to do is develop programs that address the needs of the region and at the same time don't compete with our face-to-face traditional degree programs. So what you're seeing is more like you're seeing at Venango, where we may be addressing applied technology. We may be looking at programs, applied science. The word application ends up being in a lot of the titles. So rather than having a degree in chemistry, you may be looking at a degree, for instance, in nanotechnology or something that would be more specific. And it may start with certificates, because a lot of people, especially the adults, may say, I'm really not sure I want to go for a full degree. Let me start with a certificate. Let me get a certificate, and if I like it, maybe I'll go on and take more of it and get a degree.
I believe in northwestern Pennsylvania there are very few community colleges, so it seems there would be an opportunity there.
My understanding is the number is zero.
That's
right.
Pretty few. I was just hedging my bets.
Yeah, right.
I know Butler does a great job,
Right.
but they're not in the Northwestern.
Yeah, and we actually are working with all of the community colleges in the state right now to do what we're calling articulation agreements, so that students who get an associate's degree can transfer to any of the PASHE schools rather seamlessly and have credits accepted and be able to move into programs. But you're right, in this region there are no community colleges, and we are actually trying to provide that role through Venango, our Venango campus. We'll be announcing something later this month, the Venango College, later this month on its 50th anniversary, where we're going to expand the service role of Venango College. And you're going to see Venango College really expanding. You're asking about where it's going to be. It will not just be in Oil City. We're going to be reaching out to other communities. We're already doing some of that, offering a nursing program in West Penn. We're doing some things in Meadville. So we're reaching out to communities that are asking us to offer programs and courses and certificates in other parts of the state, in this region.
That's a nice way to mark its 50th anniversary. I believe when they first started, they were the first branch campus of any of the now state system institutions.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and we're the oldest. Venango is the oldest branch campus, and in many ways a model for some of the others to see the kinds of things they can do. We just had what we call a Middle States accreditation visit. Every university for federal funding and other kinds of funding, every 10 years has to have an evaluation done by a regional accrediting agency, and ours is called Middle States. We just had our review recently, and in doing that review, they complimented us and commended us on the programs of Venango and what a model it was for trying to reach a broader spectrum of students.
As Provost, do you find any resistance on the main campus with the 2-year programs? I know in the past sometimes some professors have been very skeptical, or it degrades from the total educational impact of the institution, traditional impact.
That's right. I would say it's not resistance as much as an understanding of how it's going to impact the programs on the main campus, as well as looking at what it does financially and how we coordinate our students going through programs. What we're finding is that we have a number of students who are coming in who need extra work or are not sure what they want to major in, and putting them into a bachelor's program in a major they may not be happy with or may not be suited to them could cost them more time. And as you know, time is money in school. You're paying extra tuition and so forth. So the challenge for us is how do we coordinate those associate's degrees, those 2-year degrees, with the 4-year programs we offer and make it work.
That probably goes again back to the service area for Clarion. Clarion provides the largest enrollment for rural students in Pennsylvania, just the number of students enrolled at Clarion and the percentage. So it's part of servicing them, I imagine.
Right, and the other thing too is that we find we have a lot of unique. We have a lot of students who are coming in who are first generation, and they have special needs. When I talk about first generation, these are first generation college students whose parents may not have gone to college. Parents want them to get the college education, and providing them the guidance and the advising to help them navigate through the 4 years becomes really important.
You're listening to Clarion Connection. We'll take a brief break here, and then we'll return and talk about the nasty subject of budgets.
So, Josh, have you thought about a career after high school? Josh, would you please stop texting?
Absolutely, dude.
And get your feet off my desk. So what are you leaning towards?
I was thinking of becoming a rock star.
A rock star?
Oh, yeah, dude. They get to sleep late, and they're really rich, and they get tons of hot girls.
Well, you know, Josh, I happen to have ClarionVenangoHelpWanted.com up on my computer, and I don't see any job openings for rock star.
Anything under heavy metal hair bands or awesome bass players?
Gee, no. But I do see jobs in sales, nursing, truck driving, plumbing, plumbing, carpentry, lots of jobs for electricians.
But hot babes dig rock stars, dude.
Do hot babes dig unemployed losers who live in their parents' basements?
I don't know, dude, do they?
Actually, they do.
Dude.
Please stop calling me dude.
Sorry, bro.
Whether you're an accountant, a truck driver, a carpenter, or a plumber, find the job you're looking for at ClarionVenangoHelpWanted.com. Long name, amazing results.
I wouldn't say I have a gambling problem. I have a money problem, maybe.
My husband has a gambling problem, which is why we have a money problem.
My luck is going to change. I can feel it.
He's lost a lot at the tables, and now we might lose our house because of it.
I'm going to fix this. I've won big before.
Whenever he wins, he just pumps it back into the game.
I'm always thinking about getting money so I can play. I don't need a lot.
The bill collectors keep calling. I don't know what to do anymore.
Sometimes I lose track of time here and there, but it's only because it's such a rush.
He missed our daughter's school play last month.
I can stop any time. But why should I? I'm going to win big, sooner or later.
He won't stop. He can't stop.
Learn the signs of a gambling problem and get help at PAProblemGambling.com. That's PAProblemGambling.com. Or call 1-877-565-2112. A message from the PA Department of Health.
Welcome back to Clarion Connection. I'm Ron Wilshire. My guest today is Ron Nowaczyk, the Provost and Chief Academic Officer at Clarion University. I wanted to talk a little bit about the funding situation for Clarion University. It seems every year you talk about declining support and everything, but with the planning that's going on now and the budget situation, what are some of the topics you're looking at?
Well, Ron, there's a lot of different ones. You're right. I think the only state that's financially doing well is North Dakota because of the oil they have. But across the country, the rest of the states, all the public institutions have been facing a cutback in financial support. And it's just part of the nature of the beast of what we're facing in today's economic conditions. I guess the biggest thing that we focus on at the university is what is the impact on students? Because, and this is becoming a national debate, and rightfully so, we're looking at students who are graduating and trying to get a sense of how much debt are they incurring in school, and how is that impacting their ability, their livelihood, and their careers. We want to get to the point where students aren't graduating from college to the point where they're going to be in debt for a number of years trying to pay off student loans. So looking at from a student perspective, what that says is we need to be looking at opportunities to get students through in 4 years, not 5, not 6, but get them through in 4 years. Maintain the cost of tuition as low as possible. And then the other things, so there's some ancillary things that people don't think about until they're looking at the bills that the students are getting, but it's things like textbooks. The average textbook right now, a brand new textbook, is $200. And a used textbook is around $90. So if you think of a student taking 5 classes or taking 10 classes across a year, if they were just doing used textbooks, it's $900. You're almost adding $1,000 more. So how can we do some things? And one of the things we're looking at the university, I had a dinner with faculty and some book companies a book company that's working with us or willing to work with us on whether or not we need to move to more online resources, custom textbooks that might be available in ebook format to reduce the cost for the students. So from the students' perspective, we're being very sensitive to the fact that we need students to graduate quickly or as quickly as possible, get them through in 4 years to reduce the cost, keep the tuition down, and then also look at ways that we can do things more effectively and efficiently at the university to keep the costs down.
Can Clarion afford to offer all of the academic programs that it currently offers?
Good question. We're looking at that. We're doing a thing what we're calling viability scorecards right now. We're looking at all of our academic programs as well as our what we call infrastructure non-academic programs to look at how effective we are and how many students we're serving. So, for instance, for the academic side, we're now looking at all of the programs we have, each of the programs, each of the majors, and identifying how many students we're taking in each of those programs. In other words, is there enough student interest out there to continue the major? We're looking at how well students, what we call retain or persist in the major, how many continue on through the 4 years, and how many are graduating within, we're using the federal guideline, which is 6 years, how many graduate within 6 years. And we're identifying programs into what we're calling quintiles. Those that are very successful, very popular, and students graduating, and to those that are really struggling. And our commitment, both Dr. Whitney and my commitment to the faculty, have been, we're going to work with them and give them opportunities to adjust to making changes to make the programs more popular if possible. I'll give you a quick example. One of the things we're doing with languages is we're looking to do things across the 14 PASHE schools where if we don't offer a course, instead of creating it here, let the students take it either online or through ITV from another campus. CalU, for instance, has put in a bachelor's degree in Arabic. Well, it's an online program which we can coordinate with our program, so if a student were interested in taking a minor in Arabic, they could do that without having us duplicate the program. So that's one of the things we'll be doing. But we are going to look at programs. I'm familiar, for instance, I had a program one time that was an art program that was trying to do everything for everybody. Wasn't as successful. The faculty changed it to digital art and multimedia. Suddenly became very popular. So part of it is for us as faculty to identify opportunities to rework programs to keep them as current as possible.
Looking at other schools, it seems like language is always one of the top targets, it seems. I noticed Pitt the other day announced that it was ending its doctoral program in German and a few other programs. So I know that my language teaching friends out there are always kind of nervous when this comes around.
Well, it's people can't see it, but I'm smiling too with you in this because the language issue becomes one that is really an interesting one. Yes, we're right about the number of students taking those courses oftentimes are lower level, yet everybody talks about globalization, talks about the need for students to be trained or educated to be able to work internationally, and certainly language is part of that. So the question is, how do we do those things smarter? How do we do them in a way that the students can get the language ability plus more about the culture and the behaviors in the different cultures and so forth, so that they can be more effective as global citizens.
With general education components in the undergraduate college degrees, sometimes departments will offer programs that are not necessarily for their major, like English or something, but they still need those types of programs.
Right. Yeah, we have a lot of service courses in that area. One of the interesting things we're doing, Ron, which I'm excited about because the faculty have really embraced it and taken the lead on this, is what's called the LEAP model, which is Liberal Education, America's Promise. It's a new way. It's not a new way, but it was developed about 10 years ago, a different model for what general education involves and what education, in fact, involves for college students. The unique thing about it is this program is based on two things: talking to individuals from higher education, experts in higher education, about what we should be teaching students, but then also employers of college students who've come to the table and said, these are the skills, these are the knowledge areas we think are essential for students to have. The good news is Clarion is the first school in the state that's adopted, the first of the PASHE schools that's adopted that and is integrating it into their general education requirements, and we're looking at it across all the programs. So what we're going to be focusing on now is not just, I shouldn't say just, we're not going to be focusing, have you taken a course in X, but rather have you acquired the skills? Do you know how to write? Do you have information literacy? Do you know how to speak? So written communication, oral communication skills will become more important than saying, okay, I've completed this course. You have to demonstrate you can do certain things.
Clarion's always taken some pride in its fiscal management, very strict budgets, and I understand that a new budget model was introduced within the last year or so, and that's probably presented its own challenges.
It certainly has. We've adopted a model which is called responsibility-centered management. There are two state schools right now in the Pennsylvania state system, Westchester and Clarion, that have adopted this model. And the Westchester one has been in place a little longer than ours. But they're different in some ways. We're working, but Dr. Whitney really took the lead on this. The basic premise of the model is that you decentralize the budget down as far as possible. So colleges are responsible for their own budgets. Their money is based on how much money they bring in terms of tuition and number of students. So it provides more freedom, more opportunity for what I'll call entrepreneurial behavior within an institution. If departments or colleges can find ways to implement efficiencies, they get to reap the benefits of that. So they'll see an increase in their budget. They'll keep the money that they can save. So we get away from this centralized approach where the money mysteriously comes from certain sources, and you get it. Now deans and managers and directors have a better sense of where the money is coming from. The big challenge for us is how do you do that in times when the budgets are being cut?
I saw you tackled the mysteries of the budget even with the students at a recent public forum you had for the students, and you stepped into the lion's den to answer questions from students about what's going on. What are some of their observations?
Well, it's interesting. The students at Clarion I have found to be very, very open and really cooperative in terms of the questions they ask in trying to move the university forward. A lot of the students are asking questions about resources for the classroom. They're asking about class size. How will the budgets be changing the size of the classes? What about offering more classes at different times? The selection of courses that are available. A lot of questions about how the money is being spent, which is appropriate questions for them to be asking, for their parents to be asking, because they are the ones that are contributing quite a bit, as well as the taxpayers, to the education of the students. So what we had is a lot of questions come from students, and it, in many ways, as I told the students, they think and Harry Tripp, the VP for Student University Affairs, was on the panel with me, along with some Student Senate members. They think we know a lot of the things that they're experiencing, and in many cases we don't. And so hearing from them, for me, is a worthwhile, time spent, because they were able to express concerns they have, look at opportunities, and then we can take that back and work on it. And in fact, some of the issues that were raised, we've already started addressing. So it was really helpful for the students to come forward.
One thing that struck me in the article I read was that one of the students said that in Becker Hall that they were still operating with Windows 98, which was astounding.
Well, I talked with, and in fact, I laughed because I was in communication. I talked with the faculty there, and they said, well, it's on one of the old computers. It didn't seem to be that much of a concern to the faculty. But given the student concern about it, we're changing that computer out and putting a new one in. It was a machine that was used. It was not used for regular work, but it was a support computer for one of the pieces of equipment. And nobody had said, well, it was working, and so the question became, why change it if it's working? But from the student perspective, they wanted something that was more up to date. So we're getting something in. We're going to move into the 21st century on that computer, Ron.
Get a Mac. But a lot of times people do focus in on one subject, and then the concern grows, and you're not. Sometimes these meetings are good just to get a focus on it and then tell them what the entire situation is like.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing is to keep communication going. That's the other thing. It's important that we have communication with the students. I had a meeting a couple weeks before that with just a group of students from the Student Senate and with the president of the Faculty Senate, and had a very good meeting. So I've been really impressed with working with the students, hearing their concerns, their issues, because when they tell us what they're concerned about, it gives us the opportunity to respond back to them. One of the things I don't want happening during my tenure as provost is for students to feel that they can't talk to the academic administration. So I've told them, I want to meet with them regularly. I have an open door. I want to hear the concerns they have. And in some cases, we can do some things immediately. In other cases, it may take some time. But it's important for them at least to have that opportunity to speak.
You just have a couple minutes left. What's the most surprising thing you've learned once you arrived at Clarion?
I would say the same thing that surprised me, what I've been very pleased with, and it confirmed my interview, is the sense of community. And that's really made a difference. I get a sense that the students care about the institution, the faculty and the staff care about the school and the students that are here. And so there really is a sense of community that you oftentimes don't find at larger schools or regional schools that might be in an urban setting where people are not part of the community immediately. So in my way, I think this has been really helpful in terms of moving things forward.
Well, thanks for joining us on Clarion Connection today. Ron Nowaczyk, the provost, and now we know what a provost does, and the chief academic officer at Clarion University. I'm Ron Wilshire. We'll see you next week.